Yeah, we're going to move on to a prequel now. Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This was a movie on my least anticipated. The trailer released at CinemaCon. You've seen the trailer. What do you think about it?
So is this based on the 10th anniversary of the Hunger Games? Or is it the very first?
I think it's the first one. But it's kind of like a villain origin story of Snow. I forgot his first name. I want to say John, but I know it's not that.
Or Snow?
President Snow?
Oh, yeah, President Snow.
Yeah. So it's kind of his origin story and kind of the Hunger Games origin.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was the 10th anniversary. Oh, we'll look into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically like a Hunger Games, another Hunger Games movie. It's not really anything different. I mean, we're not really seeing this is what I'm assuming. I'm just going off my basis that this is the 10th anniversary right now.
I'm just going to look it up.
Okay, I'll keep my comment.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
As in, I'll refrain from saying that, but I'll just talk about the trailer. It looks very similar to the original Hunger Games films. It looks like as if we're just going to get exactly the same except set in the past, really. Old technology and whatnot. Nothing really interesting or what they're going to do with the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, you're taking too long, so I'm just going to get to my point. I think the Hunger Games would have been awesome if they went back to a prequel, as in like the actual origins of the first.
Like the first one.
First one where like half of the film, or more than half of the film, is just them planning this concept, the reasoning why, and exploring the different districts a bit more, and then like that third act would be the actual Hunger Games.
You are right, it's the 10th annual Hunger Games.
Okay, yeah, fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Go off my car. Yeah, knew it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like no one cares about the 10th anniversary because we're pretty much we've already seen what the Hunger Games is.
Yeah.
I think one of them was this anniversary one as well. In the original, I was going to say trilogy, but there's fucking four of them.
The Catching Fire, I think, is like the 75th or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've already done sort of an anniversary thing. So why are we getting the 10th one? Like, it's so much more interesting if we just see the first one and the origins of it. And I think that's a better concept, and it's something that we haven't really seen from this franchise before, we're seeing the planning of this, the idea of why should we have all these children dumped into our ground trying to kill each other for what purpose and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I think it's just a way better and more interesting concept to make it the first rather than the 10th, because we've pretty much already seen that in 4 films.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I think... So I guess the main concept of the film is the origin story of President Snow.
Yeah.
And I never found him to be like any kind of like formidable villain or interesting villain. He was just kind of like an antagonist in the Hunger Games series, but not like a villain where it's like, oh, this guy, like, or
like where
nothing interesting.
Or where, like, I can't remember what district it was that always won, but like where if, say, it's a Hunger Games like, fucking 20 and like, like that district's not winning, so he purposely sabotages the other district's players in there to make that district win.
Oh, yeah.
That's more of a villainous role.
Yeah.
But what we saw him in the Hunger Games, you're right, it's not really that. It's just more of like a puppet master. So to speak.
And it's not one where I'm like, oh, I need to see how he became the way he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just seemed like a political leader. But I watching this, I'm like, you could actually make some quite interesting like Hunger Games, like an old fashioned one. And I'm just trying to, because you covered it quite nicely with how it should be based on the first Hunger Games and how they even get to that concept, how society gets to the concept of having kids kill each other.
Yeah.
Is far more interesting than what we're going to have here. But, just extending your point, the first Hunger Games could be really interesting. It could be like old fashioned, like, have like older weapons and environments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. You could just make it something far more interesting than this. You can tell that the appeal for the Hunger Games movies and franchise is in the Hunger Games themselves. Yeah. It's not in the like political infrastructure and economic climates of their districts and all this kind of stuff. We saw that with Mockingjay, part 1 and part 2. the box office results for those are telling because people are like, oh, no Hunger Games in this. I'll pass.
Pretty much, yeah.
You love that build up to the Hunger Games, and then you have like a good hour of the Hunger Games.
Yeah, where it's just like you're just intense in your
exactly. Yeah, like the first
hour.
Hunger Game movies, I think are great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the first one I think would be very interesting. I would actually love to see it. I hope Lionsgate goes down that route.
Yeah.
Once
is this this is an actual book though, right?
Yeah, it is based on another book, which is not as great as the Hunger Games series.
Probably why they're doing it, but if they want to, I don't know if the first Hunger Games, as in the first ever Hunger Games, is an actual book. But if it's not, it's a good like spin-off or prequel sort of idea for them.
Yeah, even a Hunger Games series could work.
TV series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a series that could actually.
Hey, the recent trend might happen.
Everything's becoming a series. Every series is becoming a movie.